India is going through a very, very difficult phase. Bengal is going through a very different phase. Elections around the corner. COVID is there. And a lot of things are happening. Acquisitions are flying thick and fast. And we have with us Father Thomas D'Souza, the Archbishop of Kolkata. Welcome to ANM, Father Thomas D'Souza. We will come to know more about Father Thomas D'Souza, how he came into being a priest and the current scenario. What's his take on that? First, let me go back to what prompted you to take theology as a profession.
Well, I was born in a Catholic family, very devout, religious parents, and the rural setting of our area in Mangalore helped me realize all those values that were very dear to them. Therefore, right from my early age, I wanted to be a priest. Where exactly I didn't know, because we were in that surrounding. And just at that time, as I was studying in the Jesuit high school, called St. Aloysius High School, big high school in Mangalore, well known, there came the Bishop of Darjeeling, Bishop Eric Benjamin, in those days, a young bishop, just 42 years old, and he wanted boys to come and help him.
Which year was this?
In 1960, he came in 1963.
Okay.
But I was in class 8 then. But that was my first contact with him. And when I heard that he wanted help from, say, young people like us, I volunteered. Even at a young age, I wanted to be a priest. And I said, perhaps, yeah. I didn't know where Darjeeling was.
Okay.
Not that I know how all that would be about, but the great desire to serve God and serve the people in that diocese of Darjeeling, that became quite strong, and I had no hesitation at all. So after my class 10, I came to Darjeeling.
Oh.
Yes.
From Mangalore to Darjeeling.
Darjeeling, with all those inconveniences of those times.
Okay.
Today, things have changed, as you know. But in those days, things were not as convenient as they are today. But in spite of that, that was a memorable journey. My first journey, I remember, in 1966. And I reached Darjeeling on the 29th of June, that particular year.
How did you reach?
By train.
By train, okay.
Travel all along by train.
Okay. And
of course, there were others. We were in the company, 4 of us. And there were some fathers who were bringing us and so on, because we would be lost otherwise, coming.
Absolutely.
Young boys, 15 and a half, 16.
So you reached the proper Darjeeling town?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was the initial experience in Darjeeling?
Very good, very positive, very positive. Because we had read something about Darjeeling in our social studies, but to see the people and experience the place, and very especially our bishop, Bishop Eric Benjamin, who was like a real father to us. He was so affectionate and so good. That made all the difference. And we were about 12 of us, candidates. We went to St. Joseph's College, North Point,
Okay.
For our studies and so on.
Just relieve for our viewers those early days in Darjeeling. How was the city like? What did you used to do then? When you roamed around Darjeeling, how was this Darjeeling? How do you relate that Darjeeling to this Darjeeling? Do you see a drastic change now, or what was those days?
Big difference, big difference. Those days, I remember, it was absolutely peaceful. You could walk through the town any time of the day or night, there was no fear in town. And I suppose the population was comparatively small, and facilities were there for people, etc. was required. So it was a very calm and peaceful atmosphere. I still remember that atmosphere. And whether we were going to college, we were returning, and then our own studies, religious studies we had to do. In all this, we found tremendous joy and support from the bishop, of course, and our companions. We were a very happy group.
Absolutely. And you must have been seeing Himalaya, Kanchenjunga and Mount Everest.
Very much, very much. I was seeing you the first time, of course, when I came in, that was a new experience to see the snows there.
Great. So you experienced snowfall also there.
Snowfall, no. Snowfall, because it does snow every year in Darjeeling. My experience of snowfall was the first time was in 1977. That would be so about 11 years later. I had to wait, and then that I remember 27th of December that year, 1977. So very heavy snowfall in Darjeeling.
Oh.
Yes.
So how long were you there in Darjeeling, and what exactly then you started doing there?
I was in Darjeeling. I was going to the college for my studies, and afterwards we had our own religious studies back home. We were in an institute called John the 23rd Institute, very close to Bishop's house there, and then we were busy with our studies, religious studies, and so on. And in the holidays, after 2 years, I went home. After 2 years, we were allowed to go home, and that was also a good experience, a new experience. So with all that, so we were busy with a lot of visits to villages.
Okay.
But also, a lot of visits to villages, and that helped us learn the language. We had to learn the language, and it was not so difficult. Yeah.
Okay. So you learned, picked up the local language
Yes,
at
very
that point.
much.
Okay. Which means Bengali and Nepali.
No, Bengali, no. It was Nepali.
Nepali.
Yeah, it was Nepali. Because there was no Bengali being used in the hills, but it was Nepali. And people who speak Nepali, and we didn't have many classes. We talked to children,
Okay.
on our way to college and so on, and things like that. And plus our religious services were in Nepali, so we took part in them. And so once you are at especially young age, when you are in the midst of people, and so you pick up.
Absolutely. And then what happened after that? I mean, after your school and college in this thing?
Well, after college, I was sent for my philosophy and theology to St. Albert's College in Ranchi. So 2 years of philosophy, and then I was back again in Darjeeling. I was sent to St. Joseph's School under the Jesuit fathers for a year. We call it Regency or practical experience. So
Initiation in education.
Yes. And so I taught in the school there, St. Joseph's School, North Point, for a year. And then I was sent for 4 years of theology to Ranchi, back again. So I finished my theology in 1977, and I was ordained a priest.
Okay.
And to ordain me, the same bishop who had first come and first met us in the school, he himself came all the way to Mangalore, to our area, and ordained me there. It's a religious service, but very, very, very kind of him.
Great. So your life as a priest, how has it been, if you take us through the journey?
It has been a very satisfying life. Mainly because, I have come in contact with people of different types. Especially my experience in the hills has been with the Nepali people, in the villages also, the tribal Nepali lepchas and so on, the tribals. And they are very peace-loving, simple people. That's what made me very, very happy to work among them. Because after my ordination, I was sent to a school in Kalimpong, and I was there, the head of the school, and a number of years there. So my life as a priest there was very satisfying indeed. Yeah.
So here one thing is that why is it that Jesuit education is rated as one of the best, not only in India but also in this part of the country? I just want to know, why is it that everywhere when you look at good schools, apart from Narendrapur, Ramakrishna missions and something of that sort, it's the Jesuit educational system of St. Xavier, North Point, all these schools. How, if you can just throw some light on it.
Sure. Because I'm a product of Jesuit education, so I'm proud of it. Because Jesuit education prepares young people to be members of a society, to be agents of change. How? Through character, through competence, through excellence, and creativity. Therefore, people who will think, reflect, and then respond to situations. And therefore, character, creativity, and excellence, and competence, all these are elements that are there, that are given in the education by the Jesuits. And always, in a way, a desire for more, not more for worldly things, but a desire to, for example, intellectual, or even reaching out the social outreach, etc. What can I do more in my life, through my life? How can I be a better agent of change in society today? I mean, that helps us to reflect because of our education.
I understand. Basically, what you're saying is the agent of change
Yes.
separates you from the normal schools. So the Jesuit school stands out from normal schools because of this character. That's what you're mentioning. In this sphere, if I may ask you, are the teachers of your school specially trained for this purpose?
Yes.
What do you look when you look at a child? I mean, there have been often criticisms, which I want to respond to that. There have been criticisms that you take in the best of boys and prepare them. For example, St. Xavier's and Don Bosco takes in the best of students. They filter the best of students and then they prepare for the examination. But then, do you admit to that, or you say that no, you have a different style of?
I have a different view on that. See, what you see in St. Xavier's maybe, or some other institutions like that, maybe there are only, at least what people know, there are only cream boys who selected, etc., etc. But it's not true. There are also others from other backgrounds. And Jesuit education, as a part of the Catholic education of the Catholic Church, reaches out to all. If you have any chance to go to the rural areas, you see the number of schools that we have in the service of the poor, in the service of the ordinary, in the service even of people, or to children who are not, for example, not of that particular caliber, even to them, like differently abled and so on. So Jesuit education reaches out to all, and therefore to empower them and to treat them as human beings, give them the dignity, and then make them agents of change in society. Yeah, and that is the character. And for that you have, as you come to your question, you have teachers who have been commitment. There's one of the characteristics of Jesuit education is the commitment. So you're a person who is committed. So when you go out, it's not half-hearted and so on, it's a total commitment. And that we see in the teachers. The fathers, we had, for example, I remember in my own high school, Jesuit high school in Bangalore, the number of priests that were there, so committed, so friendly, you could approach them, and they were scholars. Yet you see their lifestyle so simple. They wouldn't mix with all, they would correct us, but in a way as a teacher would, as a father would. But all they said and all they did, especially their life, is still very, very clear in front of our eyes today also, after so many years.
Absolutely. So,
Teachers.
in your parlance, in Jesus' education, you are looking to make a complete human being.
Right.
A good human being
Right.
out of a student,
Right.
then being a first boy or a
No.
good
Exactly.
So, you want to be the complete man or a complete
Sure.
girl out of that person.
Yeah.
That is what you train for.
The holistic education.
Holistic
Yeah.
education. That is what you aim for in school.
Sure.
Coming back from your school, so you once you became a priest, what were your responsibilities and what generally you have been trying to fulfill in that responsibility?
Yeah, I was, as a new priest in 1977, just for a year, I was in the bishop's house in Darjeeling. And then I was also doing my B.Ed at the same time. I was also doing my B.Ed. And then after that, I was sent to Kalimpong. We have schools, and I was sent to there as head of the school. I was there for about 8 years, I think. Yeah, 7, 8 years. And then I was sent to Morningstar here, Morningstar Barrackpore. We have a college here which prepares future priests. It's a college where you have a department that is affiliated to Calcutta University in those days. Now it has gone to West Bengal State University. And there's Department of Philosophy, there's Department of Theology. So I was sent to help out in the BA department that was affiliated to the Calcutta University. So I was there for 4 years. There was again called back to Darjeeling. I was assistant to the bishop, we called the Vicar General. And then I was there in that capacity for 5 years, from 1989 to 94, when the good bishop, he was sickly, but he died at the age of 74 that particular year in 1994. So after he died, I was elected administrator. You see, normally, as you know, our system, a bishop is the head of a diocese, a unit, a geographical unit. He takes care of the religious and pastoral and other administrative aspects of the church life. And in his absence, when he dies or when he's transferred, etc., then until the new bishop comes, there is what we call administrator. It's a stopgap arrangement. So I was there for 3.5 years. Then in the meantime, when the new bishop was appointed, the diocese was bifurcated. It was too vast. And so I was sent as the first bishop to the plains. My experience has been mostly in the hills, And so to come down to the plains after a long time was not easy. I felt homesick really for the hills.
You loved the hills.
I love the hills. But then as the new bishop in 1997, I was sent to Bagdogra, that is Siliguri. That was Siliguri, that area. And I was there till 2011. So it's about 13 years I was there. And but once there, I forgot the hills. After a year or so, I forgot the hills so much so they would ask me, why I'm not going to Darjeeling forever. No, there's so much work here. There's no, So.
But anyway, Darjeeling wasn't very far.
No, it wasn't far. Foothills now. Foothills. Just the foothills. So that was the beautiful experience, I must say. Plenty of work. And here it was more tea gardens. And your lush green.
So you had a very satisfying experience in Bagdogra and Darjeeling. Then when you became Archbishop, now how did this happen? I mean, archbishops are appointed by the Pope.
All bishops are appointed by the Pope.
Okay.
All bishops. And say in India, we have what is called 100 dioceses, 174 of them, 174. And in some dioceses, there may be 2 bishops, assistant, main bishop, assistant. Other dioceses may be only 1 bishop. In an area, for example, here, we have Calcutta as the archdiocese. Arch means is a prime, is in importance, historical, responsibility-wise, which is the state capital. So all the other important, everything connected with that. And the bishop who is in that archdiocese is called the archbishop. And how did it happen? The appointment came from the Holy Father. In those days it was, for me, it was Pope. When I was sent here, I was quite happy at Bagdogra. I was quite happy. There for 13 years I was there as bishop. And then I was asked through the Pope's ambassador, we called them nuncio, apostolic nuncio. The Holy Father always, through them, through the nuncio, he conveys the message and so on. And so I was requested to go to Calcutta as coadjutor, that means assistant for the time being, with the right to succession. Because here we had Archbishop, his term was coming to over. The other aspect of ours is at the age of 75, we are expected to submit our resignation. Yeah. And is to the Holy Father, to the Pope. And he, in some cases, he may ask to continue for other reasons, a year or 2 or so on. But otherwise, normally at the age of 75, we lay down office.
75 is the retirement age?
Yeah, he is 75. So here also, my predecessor, Archbishop Lucas, was here. And at that time, he was just approaching 75. And so I was asked to come here. I was appointed here by the Pope. So I took charge. I came in June 2011. I was appointed in March. Normally within 2 or 3 months, you're supposed to take charge. So I came down, and then in 2012, February the 23rd, I took charge as Archbishop. Yes.
In February 23rd,
Yeah.
2012.
2012.
So, is there any tenure of being an archbishop, say 5 years, 10
No,
years?
no, there's no tenure. No, it's entirely up to the Holy Father. But you know, till 75, as I told you. Yeah, so there is no.
Yes. So, your job as an archbishop.
Yeah.
So, if you look back, so it's been about 10 years.
10 years now.
So, in those last 10 years is one decade.
A decade.
One decade you have been the Archbishop of Kolkata, one of
Right.
the most prime dioceses
Yes, right.
in India.
Right.
So, how do you reflect on it?
You know, I consider my being here, for me personally, though I had never thought of it, never dreamt of it, we go like good soldiers, you know, we go where we are sent. Because at the time of our ordination, we place our hands in the hands of our bishop, says, you know, I will be obedient to you. I'm at your disposal as an adult, freely, generously. So send me wherever you want. So that is the promise we make at the time of ordination. And therefore, wherever we are sent, we go. And I was asked to come here. First of all, I consider it a real privilege. Real privilege. I never thought of it, you know, because you know, this is a diocese connected with very historic. At the same time, you have also very historic personalities like Mother Teresa here. Though I had met her a number of times, even while in Darjeeling and also in Siliguri. No, it's not Siliguri. Siliguri, yes. No, not Siliguri. Siliguri, yes.
Not Bengal, you must remember.
Yeah, not Bengal. And especially when I was a priest, because Mother died in 1997, as you know. So that was one of the reasons. I mean, here it's a very privileged place to be, and the people, the whole geographic situation and so on is so different from the hills or anywhere. For me, it was a new experience. But with the experience that I had, both in the hills and in the plains, that came in very handy. When I went about meeting people, our own, say, priests, our own sisters, brothers, and see the situation here, and where can we reach out to so many people. And one thing that struck me was the number of poor people we have, and the work that is done here by NGOs, by the government, and our own religious organizations, and thanks to persons like Mother Teresa, the Missionaries of Charity, and other sisters, fathers, you know, so many orphanages. Look at the poor, look at the old people here. All various types
So
of
what has been
social education.
What has been your one big success? I mean, if I ask you, Father, if you just sit back in the evening and just think that yes, in the last 10 years, this has been my biggest success.
No, we don't think of success. I prefer what Mother Teresa said. We are called not to be successful, but to be faithful. So let others consider success in their terms. We don't know, because success is defined in different ways. What success for me may not be success for you.
Achievement?
Or for the others. Achievement, I don't know. Even that. Achievement, I think others should judge that. I think I should not judge anything. Nor have I achieved anything very, very great. No. That's why I've been faithful. That's what I can tell you. Yeah, I've been faithful. That's why I like Mother Teresa's advice and her reflection. We are called not to be successful, but to be faithful. So we are faithful day after day and so on to the responsibilities given to us, and carry them out with general commitment, as I said, which is again part of our education to be more human, you know, as we were formed. So that, I think, is going to bear fruit.
We have been there. How has been your relationship with the government? Because you work here, you have been the government, and you have to have some kind of a working understanding or a relationship.
Yeah.
How has been it so far?
I must say very positive. Here,
All governments?
the other governments,
I mean, I think you have seen two governments.
Yes.
As an archbishop.
I must say the earlier I didn't have that much. I mean locally, yes, because I was not here at that time.
Yeah.
Because when the change came, when the present government came, just at that time I also came
You also
here,
came,
2011. You know, I came here, But the previous governments, one thing I remember is, when there were some difficulties for the church, especially in Dang's district in Gujarat and so on. At that time, the government here sent us to the bishops. The bishop, I was already in Siliguri then. I think it was around 2000. It was around year 2000. So if there's any difficulty to the minorities, the Christians, so on, whom we should approach? They're sent from the Home Department here. We got a letter saying that, you put this, so their numbers are here, their offices, and things like that, whether it be the police, the district administration, whatever. That I thought, I think I was the only state. There was a CPM government then. And that's the only state I thought that gave all this sort of instruction to us that we could be safe. So I was very happy about that, very happy about that. I mean, we had relationship, say, with that government, the CPM government in those days, because we had to deal with schools and so on, the policies, etc., etc. So this was a lot of, we were interacting. Not always successful, what we want, but we kept on interacting, and they listened to us, and we brought it forward. It's been good, I must say.
Good. And the current government?
Perhaps better, better, yeah. And because, see here, for example, the Chief Minister, Didi, and so on, have been very, very encouraging, and encouraging in the sense of as a human being, and so on, approachable, and things like that. So that was a very positive point. So also the policies and things like that, I mean, they were quite satisfying, and so we were quite sort of, the relation was very cordial. Even now it's cordial with the present government.
It's very cordial and open.
I mean, there could be exceptions, with certain officials, maybe sometimes, like, it always.
That
but
happens.
Overall, I must say, thanks to the personality of the Chief Minister herself and her relationships with the church, with us, with me, and so on here, I think it's been quite cordial, quite cordial.
Absolutely. Now,
for example, they coming to our church, and you must have seen that,
yes.
And receiving blessing. I mean, making us so humble. I mean, we feel humbled in a way,
True. So
to have
the current government has gone out of their way to kind of making you feel comfortable, making your community feel comfortable.
Right, and also see the Christmas festival we've been having ever since 2011, ever since this government came into power. That was the year I think it was revived, and ever since it's been going on. And I think it's a very, very positive step not only for the Christian community, but also the other communities. So we are happy about that.
There has been some noises in and around that sometimes there has been political interference, and sometimes there have been, I'll put it in a broader sense, corruption in admission to your schools, generally schools. How will you react to that? Has there been any direct political interference or some kind of corruptions in admission to schools? And if you get such complaints, what do you do?
No, I don't think there has been any, by and large. I don't think so.
Okay.
In the Catholic schools. If at all, if any case that is brought to my notice, for example, we always cross-check what has happened, and steps are taken accordingly. So, I must tell you very, very clearly, the complaint we often get is that they are not getting admission. That's the thing. There's a complaint. They're not getting admission. That I say, see, I don't take admission or deal with that. There are people responsible for that in each institution, and therefore you have to contact them and so on. Of course, but we can't contact them. They don't allow us to meet them. I tell you, I understand. I'm a student myself. Because especially if a principal has to say, sorry, when you have 100 seats, you get 1,000 applications, so 900 will be disappointed. Now, to convince the 900 people by meeting them individually, that is not possible, only 100 have got the seats, how do you do that? Otherwise, they won't be able to do any work. And I know you can't convince people, especially when it comes to Sikh. Therefore, they say we can't meet. It's not because they don't want to do that. I mean, not because they want to do like that, but just because they have no other alternative.
Absolutely.
That's the only complaint I have most often is no admission, no admission.
That comes to my previous question also.
Yeah?
That how come Jesuit education is
Yes.
Rated highly?
Not
That's the
only Jesuits,
reason.
it's a Jesuit education, St. Xavier's and so on, but we also have other. See, in the Catholic Church,
No, not only Xavier's. I mean, you have Lord St. Lawrence, then you have Don Bosco. All schools have
so many schools, yes.
So many
Our
schools.
own diocesan schools. There's
That's
St. Mary's,
true.
St. Anthony's,
St. Anthony's
so
and-
on, and St. Aloysius and
So
Peter's.
they are always in demand.
Right.
Lastly, I want to touch upon a subject which is, again, in the current political perspective. Of course, you have stayed out of politics all the while. You have always voiced for peace and tranquility whenever called upon, and there has not been a general atmosphere of hatred between the Christian community and any other community so far in Bengal or maybe in India. So, but one aspect sometimes crops up which says that there are conversion related issues. So, do you think this is any true, or some diabolical attitude, or somebody, there's a part of a conspiracy to wage a divide between the Christians and the Hindus, or maybe the minority community and the majority community?
Yeah. See, sometimes it could be just accusations, because a very easy target or easy way to target a community and so on, because it's insensitive. But if you look at the Constitution, there's a freedom of religion guaranteed, to practice.
Right to practice your own religion.
And propagate and so on. So there's no reason. And if someone of his own will say, I want to, because I'm convinced and so on, I mean, nobody can stop that, no? Didn't our great persons like, what's his name, our Dr. Ambedkar, did he do that? I mean,
Yes.
I'm saying the principle, freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, is there for all, for all, the freedom. And that must be respected, because that is an inalienable right of every person. Coming to the issue itself, which is not true, no. Because if you sort of convert people using,
Forceful means.
forceful, of course, or the other, you give them incentives
Yes.
and things like that. That's not correct. I mean, the Catholic Church is the first one to say no. We have been very, very forthright about it. No, there's no question of force is one. And the question about they are converting forcibly. See, this is the accusation, which is true, which is wrong. Nobody can convert anybody. See, we can propagate about our faith, and there's a guarantee, is a right guaranteed in the Constitution. I can tell people about, say, who Jesus Christ is, what He has done for me and as a community, and so on. But the listeners, if somebody is touched by God's grace and so on, and who am I to say even no to Him? No? It's God who does that. No? God who touches. No? But I have a right to tell people what is most precious to me, my faith. I can tell about it. We are in a democratic country, and that is the Constitution. So I go back to Constitution. There is a right guaranteed in the Constitution. See? So what is guaranteed in the Constitution? Not only for me, but for others also. So us also. So very often this has become just as a sort of way of saying conversion, and therefore that's taken up. It's not true.
Absolutely.
No.
And you haven't faced any of hatred or anything from anywhere. You had a very peaceful, as far as Bengal is concerned, we have never faced such a problem.
No. There may have been some, there was somewhere in, maybe here in some pockets and things like that, accusation. Yeah, not truth. No, with the right or wrong, no. The accusation. There may have been, I don't know, but what is mentioned and what the fact, they differ. They differ. Because we hear in so many other places also, see for example, when there's a group that gathered for prayer and then everybody rushes it because it's not true.
Correct.
If they have accepted Jesus Christ, they want to follow, I mean, all are welcome, no? If we mean, right, nobody's we can follow, we cannot come to that. But if someone is so touched by God, he's convinced, he or she, and so on, I want to say, follow Jesus Christ, all right? Is that true? You want to follow someone else? Is it free? No? Anybody. That freedom is given by the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Therefore, we can follow that. But we have no right to force anybody. We have no right to induce anybody, and so on. No. That we are very, very clear about, absolutely.
Absolutely. So this part is absolutely clear and laid to rest for
should be at all times.
At all times.
Because we have been following not only this, Christianity is 2,000 years old, and therefore this is not anything new. Accusations are not new.
Acquisitions also not new. This has been over and over.
Quite used to things like that.
And lastly, Father, what's your message to the people now? I mean, we are in a post-COVID scenario.
Yeah.
And the economic situation world over is not very good, and and children basically coming to the education side, children are behind the four walls of their room for the last almost 1 year. They are not being able to venture out for outdoor activity, games, nothing. So at this moment, what is your message first to the children and then to the people at large?
Children must not lose hope. It's a new way of reaching out to them that's been made possible thanks to the electronic media that is possible and the social media today. And though I know children themselves must be getting tired also because they miss so much that school atmosphere, meeting friends and being guided by teachers, there is a totally different atmosphere, different experience, and they've been missing all that. But I think, and we all pray, that soon they will be able to go back to school and things will become what you call a new normal, as they say. Things will be new normal, yes. And true, because of this pandemic, because of the situations, children also have been affected. Psychologically, otherwise, and so on, to guide them is not an easy job for the parents, not easy. So all have to be prepared. Parents have been very, very patient and heroic, I think, in this situation to help their children. So also from the school side, we have done our best, not only to impart education, online classes, but also to reach out to counseling and so on, parents as well as children. That also has been done, is going on. And when they come back to school, now the senior children are back, at least most of them, 10 and 12. Now exam dates have been announced also for the ICS schools, and therefore I feel we must be optimistic. Let's be people filled with hope. What we have gone through is an experience where we have seen heroism in people. Doctors, nurses who went out of their way even at the risk of their own life to serve people, and that should become in a way a motivating factor for us, for all. And as far as school is concerned, we must now wait for the time when we will be allowed to come back to school and resume normal life. So don't lose hope. Do your best in the situation as guided by your teachers, by your parents, and so on. So follow what is to be done. Secondly, in this pandemic situation, we should not be negligent. This also I would appeal to all. Keep the precautions very active. For example, wearing a mask, and so on when you go out, and then mixing in the crowd. This must be done for the safety of others. One's own safety, the safety of others. I've been hearing from well-known doctors. It's been their repeated advice to people And I think we must pay heed to that. And as far as the other atmosphere is concerned, we must maintain an atmosphere of peace. Peace. No violence of any sort. No verbal violence, no physical violence, no violence of any sort. And I think we as a nation would do a great service to one another by remaining peaceful. And promoters of peace. No question of in any way breaking that peace. Rather, bringing people together and being agents of peace in all situations. Then I think we will be able to create an atmosphere of peace. And let's look after the Mother Earth. Our Pope, the present Pope Francis, has written a very beautiful, we call it encyclical, which means a letter addressed to all. So it's meant for Catholics, but it's also to all people of goodwill. And this, what he has written in 2015, became very popular, very popular. It's all about ecology. It's all about creation. It's all about our home, we call common home, on the planet Earth. How we have, in a way, been unjust to this earth. Yeah, we have really destroyed it. I said, no, we cannot do that. We must save this planet. God gave us such a beautiful planet. What have we done to this? Glaciers are melting. We have
there's been a lot of climate change because
climate change everywhere, global warming, and they say this year is going to be warmer than others. Yeah, so now all this is, we can't blame anyone else. We have to blame ourselves. And the solution also should be, in a way, that way we have to take steps towards
the way we behave.
We behave, our lifestyle, and so on. Everything has to be. So this is also my appeal. Where we can really have a beautiful earth around us, and that we can pass it on to our next generation, to our children, and so on. Because it's not only for us, we would be too selfish to use everything of it. No.
It's for the next generation. Absolutely. So, peace it is from Father, and comes at a very, very important time. So, Father, you have been very, very candid with us in this chat. We have heard lot of things, lot of unknown things. You have clarified a lot of situations and scenarios. Thank you very much for giving us time. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences, thoughts on different issues and different scenarios. Thank you once again from ANM News, and you keep watching ANM News, and we will come back to you over and over again with more interviews of such personalities, very important personalities in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you and welcome.